They said the world ended in one day, but that's not true. The world didn't end all at once. It broke piece by piece, street by street, person by person. And somehow, after 100 days, I was still alive. Day one started like any normal morning. People were going to work, traffic was moving, and nobody knew anything was wrong. Then the sirens started. Within minutes, the streets turned into panic, and I realized nobody was coming to save us. I ran into the closest store because I thought hiding would keep me safe. But that was the first time I saw one up close. It looked human, but it didn't move like a person anymore. It was quiet, hungry, and listening. When I got back home, everything felt different. The same walls, the same couch, the same room, but none of it felt safe anymore. The news kept telling people to stay inside, but deep down I already knew help wasn't coming. I packed whatever I could carry: food, water, medicine, batteries, anything useful. Before that day, small things felt normal. Now every can, every match, every battery could decide whether I lived another night or became one of them. Leaving home felt like leaving my old life behind. Every memory I had was inside that apartment, but memories couldn't protect me. Staying meant waiting to be found, so I closed the door, stepped into the hallway, and never looked back. The highway was filled with people who had tried to escape. Cars were left open, bags were scattered everywhere, and some engines were still smoking. I kept walking because stopping made the silence louder, and the silence was almost worse than the screams. That first night outside was the longest night of my life. I had no bed, no lock, no walls, and no one watching my back. Every sound under that bridge made me think something was coming. I didn't sleep. I just survived until morning. By day 7, I was hungry, cold, and running out of supplies. Then I found the gas station. It looked empty from the outside, but I had already learned that empty places could still be dangerous. I needed food, so I went in anyway. Most of the shelves were already empty, but I kept searching. When I found one can of food, it felt like treasure. For 1 second, I almost smiled. Then I heard something behind me, and that tiny bit of hope disappeared instantly. They had followed the sound. Their hands pressed against the glass, and I could hear it cracking. I didn't have a weapon strong enough to fight them, and I didn't have time to think. The only thing left to do was run. The bathroom window was barely big enough to fit through. Broken glass scratched my jacket, and my backpack got caught halfway out. For a second, I thought that was where my story ended. Then I pulled free. And ran into the darkness. 2 weeks in, I found the farmhouse. It sat alone in the countryside, quiet and almost peaceful. But peaceful didn't mean safe anymore. I watched it from the grass for almost an hour before I had the courage to walk up to the door. I worked until my hands hurt. I boarded windows, blocked doors, and made alarms out of string and empty cans. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. For the first time in days, I had a place that felt almost safe. That night, the radio made a sound. At first, it was only static, but then I heard a voice. It was weak, broken, and far away, but it was real. Someone was out there, and they were talking about a safe zone. The safe zone was far. Too far, maybe. Between me and that place were forests, towns, highways, and who knew how many infected. But it was the first real chance I had. So I marked the map and decided to leave at sunrise. On day 25, I left the farmhouse behind. Part of me wanted to stay, but staying meant slowly running out of food. The safe zone was my only chance at a future. So I followed the road and walked into the fog. The forest looked empty, but it wasn't. I saw them between the trees, standing still like they were waiting for a sound. I turned off my flashlight and held my breath. One snapped branch, one wrong step, and they would all come running. The bridge was gone, so the river became my only way across. The water was freezing, and the current kept pushing me sideways. I held my backpack over my head, because if my supplies got ruined, I was finished. Somehow, I made it. On day 35, I found a town that looked like everyone had vanished in the middle of their lives. Bikes were still on sidewalks. Posters covered the walls. Doors were left open. It felt empty. but I couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched.
The pharmacy had exactly what I needed. Bandages, painkillers, medicine, things that could keep me alive if I got hurt. I moved fast, but not fast enough. Somewhere near the entrance, something knocked over a shelf, and I knew I wasn't alone. That night, I slept on a rooftop because the streets were too dangerous. The wind was cold, the concrete was hard, my flashlight was almost dead. But from up there, I could see anything coming. For a few hours, nothing found me. On day 50, I saw the horde. There weren't dozens of them. There were hundreds, maybe thousands, moving together through the city like a wave. That was the moment I understood the truth. The world didn't belong to us anymore. The street below was impossible, so the only path forward was across the rooftops. A single wooden plank connected two buildings, and it shook with every step. I wanted to look down, but I knew if I did, fear would win. By day 60, I was almost empty. Not just hungry or tired, but empty in a way sleep couldn't fix. I was tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of being scared every second. For the first time, I wondered if surviving was worth it. Then I saw the handprint. It was fresh, painted on the wall with an arrow pointing down the street. Someone else was alive. Someone had passed through recently. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't just running away. I was following hope. The arrow led me to an old train station. That's where I found another survivor. At first, we both stood there frozen, not sure who was more dangerous. But after so many days alone, even a stranger felt like a miracle. After that, everything changed. We shared food, took turns sleeping, and warned each other when danger was close. The world was still broken, but I wasn't carrying it alone anymore. Having someone beside me made survival feel possible again. On day 75, we finally saw it. Tall walls, watchtowers, searchlights, and lights glowing inside like the world hadn't completely died. After everything we had lost, the safe zone felt impossible. But there it was, standing right in front of us. But the dead found us one last time. We ran across that field with everything we had left. Lungs burning, legs shaking, the gates slowly closing ahead. I could hear them behind us. I didn't know if we would make it. On day 100, we reached the gates. I expected to feel strong like some kind of hero, but I didn't. I felt broken, scared, and exhausted. But when those gates opened, none of that mattered. I was alive. The world outside was still broken, and surviving didn't mean everything was okay. But inside those walls, people were trying again. I survived 100 days in a zombie apocalypse, but that wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning.